Hi, my name's David Zuckerman. I'm a state senator here in Vermont from Chittenden County. I'm also an organic vegetable farmer with my wife Rachel, and we operate about a 20-acre farm. I've spent the last 18 years working on legislation in Vermont, many of those years around genetic engineering. In 2003, I introduced one of the first GMO labeling laws in the country, and have worked with citizens across the state in order to bring that bill to fruition in 2014, when we became the first state in the country to pass a GMO labeling law. When we passed that, I was vice chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and I was the lead advocate in the Senate. It became a bill that was broadly supported with a 27-2 vote in the state Senate, including Democrats, progressives, and Republicans. And it also passed widely in the House, again with multi-partisan support. Very sadly, right now in Washington, a bill is passing, the Roberts-Stabenow, quote, compromise, that really is going to undercut the consumer's right to know what's in their food. While it's being cloaked as a bill to reveal whether food contains genetically engineered ingredients nationwide, it is being done in such a way that the information will be unclear and opaque for the average consumer. You either have to have a smartphone with cell service to read a QR code, or you need to be able to call a 1-800 number, which if on every single product you're going to make that phone call, I think it's pretty unlikely you're going to do that. Or, like Vermont's law, it would have clear wording in the English language that say made with or produced with or genetically engineered ingredients, or made with, partially made with genetically engineered ingredients. And that's the difference between the Vermont law and the federal law proposed. The Vermont law is very clear on the label wording in English. Where it's really interesting is many of the Republicans that have supported this new law in Washington say they believe in states' rights and yet are undercutting our law, taking away our states' rights to do it, say they believe in the English language as being something that should be very clear in America, and yet they're passing a language of a bill that includes QR codes that nobody in the world can read except with a computer. And so it's really a sort of contradiction in terms for these folks, except for in one way, which is that it is the way that the corporations want it to be labeled. And what's fascinating about Vermont and around the country is that consumers want to know what's in their food. It doesn't mean they're always going to change their habits, but they just want to have the access to the information. And what's happening in Washington is corporate rights over consumer rights. Across the country and in Vermont, we've had 90% support of the general public in general, poll after poll. The only time that's gone down is after industry propaganda saying your food is going to cost more. But as a food producer who prints labels, I can tell you that the cost of printing labels and the cost of changing labels is fractions of a penny per label, really tenths of a penny, if that. And so the cost of food isn't going to change, and yet food transparency is being undercut by the Roberts-Stabenow Act in Washington. And again, I'm David Zuckerman. I'm a state senator here in Vermont, vice chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee. I've been the initial and lead sponsor on GMO labeling and other GMO regulation bills in Vermont for over 15 years. And I'm available for booking to discuss this topic further if you'd like.